like to talk about retirement. It's a timely subject, and a lot of folks are really worried that they can truly outlive the assets that they saved up, particularly this inflationary environment. Joining me right now, Mindy McIntosh is with us, founder and CEO of McIntosh and Associates. It's something that I hear from parents, aunts, uncles. It's a true concern with things being as expensive as they are. Even if you saved up, there are concerns. Is that right? Do you see that happening a lot in the talk?
We so do. With inflation on the rise, folks need to realize, even with more and more people having more longevity, folks are living longer. So we have a longer life expectancy, more time in retirement, and people are just being healthier. So we see so many times that our clients are retiring sooner than expected. And so now they need to have to even have a longer timeline for this retirement nest egg to last. So much goes into that planning to make sure we're looking at time, longevity, health, healthcare costs with inflation and all of these trends.
Healthcare costs. I mean, I think that people think they may have enough, but then there's a lot of things that pop up. Maybe they don't have a proper retirement plan. Is that right?
Well, and the trouble with healthcare is it can be, not only the cost that folks are spending from the time they're 65 plus for their health insurance plan, out-of-pocket costs, expenses for prescriptions and medical. We've actually seen some statistics show over $300,000 just of what can be spent for just a normal, healthy person throughout their retirement lifespan inside of healthcare. So we have to make sure that we're creating a solid, focused income plan to walk them through this with regular healthcare. And that's just standing alone of making sure that they're not just standing on the leg of investments and Social Security, but how do we actually create that longevity play and income for them? We have to diversify to do so. And then it's a whole separate thing that we do with planning with the legacy plan of long-term care. I'm sure we all know of folks that have entered a nursing home or assisted living facility. Long-term care can derail your retirement planning without a proper plan put into place to know how are we going to fund this? What facilities would we use? And we don't want that type of tragedy to derail your financial expenses when you're already emotionally and physically in a different state.
Look, responsibility with your finances, spending wisely, being more responsible with your funds is a big part of it. But what would you suggest when someone does a plan, someone wants a conservative plan? Are there certain types of tools they should use to really make sure that they are invested in the right things? What do you suggest?
Absolutely. We always say we have to start with making sure you have a plan. Just like anything else, we want to make sure things are written down and we actually have a strategy for you. And we just need to know that this is one of those things that actually does change over time. So we need to look at what have you actually started for initially, a budget or an expense plan. And that doesn't stay the same all throughout your working career into retirement. We all know this changes because we have inflation change. We have things that might change in your hobbies, debt load you might have, you no longer do. And then we need to go from higher risk to lower type of risk and diversify portfolios. So we really like to take a look at focusing on budgeted expenses, what's happening with income, and when do you really want to retire? So we focus a lot on what is your why? Because if you want to retire early, there's things that we need to take a look at, either putting more funds into your 401k. Are you maxing them out? How do we take place with having the employer sponsored match? And are we saving in a tax savvy way? So just the plan of making sure what does income look like, your budget or expenses as they move, how much are you contributing? And is there still too much left over in bank accounts that we need to hedge inflation and see some rates of return off of? And then what are you doing to wrap up that healthcare piece? And how are things segmented today, tomorrow, 5 years, and 10 years from now to make sure that that plan is still ever changing and moving and developing with you?
Right, understood. What is a mistake that people do? Is there a mistake that you could point out that maybe could help others?
We see so many times that folks just failing to plan, it leads you to having mistakes happen. So if you can plan early, like with anything else, right? So many folks actually spend more time planning their 1 or 2 week vacation a year than they do as they get ready for retirement. And I know some of us laugh about that, but it is very true. So I think that the problem is some folks just think, oh, I'll figure it out. I'm not there yet. Or maybe they think they don't have enough money to seek out help. But it's so important to seek out your specialist, meet with the advisor, There's too much to know to make sure that you're getting help and walking alongside each other. So that way, as things do change, someone's right there with you as market trends change. You need maybe a safer portfolio. You need some income in your retirement journey. What does that look like? Because most of you folks are all going to have to plan your own pension like income and such in retirement. So there's so many things to do now. You can't start young enough.
And what about Social Security? That's something else that you noted. People at least count on that in part, right?
They sure do. So I sometimes talk about it being the three-legged stool that was. Social Security was deemed to be about 40% of someone's income in retirement. And then the lucky few that still have a pension. And then they'd have other savings and investments. And now really we need Social Security to be a foundation. And then along with that, we need to create some, guaranteed streamlined income in retirement to make sure that we can help to take a look at, do we have enough for retirement years? What's happening with inflation and long-term care? What are you seeing for rates of return over timelines? So you're right, we need to look at, do we need to take it early? Or are you still working like so many folks that might still work past 62 to 65 and so on? So when do they need to draw? Because full retirement age, they no longer will have a reduction if their income is high. Or do we want to actually defer and wait? How long do we want to wait to have that rate of return growth? And no one knows exactly how long they're going to live. So these are all factors that we like to utilize inside of everyone's customized plan and when they're truly looking to retire for how we turn on that income and when we do so.
And look, it's good to have somebody do it with you, right? Not do it alone. And so this way you could sort of navigate through all of this. It's not easy. And as you said, longevity, people are living longer lives, healthier lives. So you need more money. Mindy McIntosh, founder and CEO of McIntosh Associates. Thank you.